He asked for forgiveness later.
Capron,
Here.
Gretkin,
Here. Right away.
Moore,
Here.
Redding, Scott,
Here. I need my cheat sheet here.
Redding,
Can we? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a proclamation today for Helen Glazer. Here we go.
You all can go to the podium.
All stand up here if you would. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
I was thinking about responding.
You ready?
Since 80% of it.
Go. Okay. How are you doing?
Salary.
We have a proclamation that says that if you have been part of the Sioux City Art Center, then you've known Helen Levine Glazer, a longtime supporter of the Art Center, serving in many capacities for many years. And whereas Helen was a native of Sioux City, Iowa, born the daughter of Joseph and Esther Goodsight Levine, she grew up in Sioux City, graduating from Central High School, returning to Sioux City after graduating from the University of Minnesota. She married Milton L. Glazer on October 10, 1950. To this union, 3 children were born, Jane, James, and Bruce. Whereas Helen served on the fundraising arm of the Art Center Association of the Sioux City Board of Directors, for a total of 23 years. She served as president in 2005 to 2006 and 9 years as an honorary distinguished member. In addition, Helen served 2 years on the Sioux City Art Center's Board of Trustees. And whereas Helen was a committed community volunteer serving also on boards of the United Way Junior League, Congregation Beth Shalom, and the Sioux City Country Club. Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council, deem it an honor to commend Helen Levine Glazer for her passion to serve others and for the devotion to the ideal that one person can make a difference. She will be missed by her family and the community. I'd like to present this to you guys and say a few words if you would.
thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're glad to
Go ahead. Well, I will say one thing. Whenever my wife was on the board, she would be very dedicated. And no matter whether it was food kitchen or whatever, she would show up. And she would raise money and she would work hard. And she really, and the Crittenson Center was another one that she was on for years and was really important to her. And I'll let my daughter finish.
I don't need to add anything. My mother was a terrific wife and mother and grandmother, and as you know, a community volunteer, and we're all very proud of her, and we'll miss her terribly. And thank you so much for this wonderful honor.
Well, thank you
Thank
for the
you.
honor.
Thank you.
I would like to add something to what Mayor Bob Scott presented as well. You know, I knew Helen, and you're right, Milt, she was dedicated, probably one of the most dedicated citizens we've ever had in Sioux City. And she worked extremely hard and tirelessly for the Art Center Board and the association, and the Art Center is part of what it is today because of Helen Glazer. And it seems like, and I have a terrible time remembering dates, Mayor, but it just seems like it was just weeks ago we had a joint meeting between the City Council and the Art Center Association, and Helen was there, and Helen and I were also involved in making that little piece for the Art Center to display, and she was so delightful that day. She was full of energy, full of life, and it's just she's a tremendous loss to not only to Milt and your family, but to the whole community. There's no question about that. I'm sorry she's gone, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Well, I
Thank
will
you.
say one more thing. She was a beautiful lady, but inside is well as out.
Absolutely.
Very good. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks so much.
Never had a mean thought. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down today. Now we'll go on to the presentation by the Sioux City Film Festival.
Good afternoon. I'm Rick Mullen. I'm a board member and one of the founding members of the Sioux City International Film Festival. This is our 13th year coming up in 2017. And we are hoping to rather dramatically expand the festival up to 5 days, make it a citizens of Sioux City, a cultural event that will bring people to town, and something that we think will build more and more value to the city. We have plans for a number of changes this year. We're going to be using the Stony Creek Inn and Conference Center as our host hotel, as well as using the Orpheum Theater. And my favorite thing, the Mighty Wurlitzer organ is going to be used for a performance on a Sunday afternoon aimed at families of silent films and comedies and things that people will really enjoy. This festival has had a great history. Started off very, very small, and it's grown. But we think, based on what we've seen around the state, that there's a lot more that we can do. Recently, some of us were at the Dubuque Film Festival, and they get 4,000 people a year at their festival. We think that there's a lot of room to grow here in Sioux City. And we think it's a unique thing for downtown and a unique venue for both the Orpheum and the Stony Creek. In order to grow the way we need to grow, we're asking the city of Sioux City for some substantial help. We need additional funding in addition to the money we've already raised and the additional monies that we expect to raise to put this festival on. Our goal has always been to keep the ticket prices very low. We only charge $5 a person instead of the $20 or $35 we probably should be charging. But we want to make this affordable and available to families, young people, students, and folks who just like good movies. All the films that we show are 30 minutes or less. They come from all over the world, all over the United States. And this year we're again making a major push to get local students and local filmmakers to submit and be a part of the festival. All of this costs money. So we're again asking the city of Sioux City to partner with us to help leverage some of the funding we've already raised and to also help us raise additional funding from Produce Iowa. That's the film funding board for the state of Iowa. They will give us some additional funding if the city also helps out. So with that, you have already seen the proposal that we sent. I hope you've all had a chance to read it, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
How much does the city of Dubuque give for part of this deal?
I don't know that. I understand it's rather substantial. It's in the tens of thousands of dollars. I know they also have their tourism board participate substantially. The tourism board helps a lot. You know, I served on the Sioux City, the old Convention Center Auditorium Tourism Board for 8 years, and I know the impact of tourism in Sioux City. And although this isn't an event like bringing in, you know, the Shriners statewide convention and getting all these people in, it's something that is going to bring people to Sioux City, and it is going to be something that will cause people to stay here and enjoy being in Sioux City in the dead of winter.
Well, and I think it's going to put Sioux City on the map again. So, you know, when you talk people from all over the world,
Truly.
I mean, you're talking truly very good exposure. So I really, truly believe that we need to jump on board and do what we can. So I don't know where it goes from here, but
How many people have attended in the past? Do you have any figures?
Well, it depends on each year has been different. Being in February, sometimes weather can be problematic.
Sure.
I think mostly it's been in the hundreds, the upper hundreds, but we know there's tremendous room to grow. And we think by having it at the Stony Creek, it'll allow us to do some shows during the afternoon as well as during the evening, because you and I know there's an awful lot of folks who don't want to go out at night in the winter. So our plan is to show films, for instance, on Wednesday, and then the next day, Thursday, we will show the same flight of films that afternoon, as well as having workshops for students and others, and then another flight of films on Friday night, Saturday night, and then Saturday at the Orpheum, be the big finale.
I'm looking at the Julian Dubuque Film Fest.
Yes, that is it exactly.
It's not listed as a sponsor at all,
Okay.
not at any level.
I think they act as a funnel through the NEA,
What's that?
National Endowment of the Arts. Funds it? I believe so. Well, there's all your sponsors.
Did your ask,
With us up to $25,000 so that we can leverage that and produce the kind of festival that we need.
and then there's a carryover of any funds not used from
Oh, absolutely,
here
absolutely.
to the next
And
year?
we know that we can adjust the festival up and down as necessary, depending on our funding levels. One of the things that Dubuque has done very successfully is to bring in filmmakers from around the United States, and they often pay quite a bit of their expenses to come in. We're hoping we don't have to do that, but that's a possibility, especially if we get a named person to attend and participate, and also participate in the workshops that we'd be holding for students and educators.
You know, we always have big events in the summertime, but we don't have that much going on in the wintertime.
No.
And I think that this would really add to what we have already going in Sioux City, and we have a lot of things that we can offer. You know, we have a lot, we're growing, we got a lot of things we can be proud of and things that we can show off, so I'm not sure where we go with this, like I said, but I think we should really back it, and I think a lot of people here, you know, here just in Sioux City and our area would appreciate it too, so.
Rick, when would you need to know what the city's commitment is? Do you have a date in mind? Or
Well, we need
time?
to know pretty darn quickly.
Okay.
We are already making a lot of asks out there. We have obtained, I believe, about 14,000 toward our budget already, but there's a long way to go to get to where we need to be.
Mr. Padmore, do you have anything to say?
I would just add, this is unbudgeted, so do we require an action of council to add it to the council budget if you so desired?
What have we done in the past?
Nothing.
City hasn't done anything.
Nothing that I'm aware of, sir.
Okay.
But you got to remember, that was the Siouxland Film Festival. This is the Sioux City International Film Festival.
And international.
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 International, Sioux City International. We did have a couple of French filmmakers fly in a couple of years ago to participate, and we've already had, was it Spanish filmmakers that want to attend, and that could be quite interesting.
So wouldn't the next step be to put it on the council agenda and give proper notice?
Maybe closed session?
Yes, it would have
Have
to
a
be
discussion.
placed on an agenda with advance notification for an action to be taken in a council vote.
On a closed session? Is that what you're talking about?
No,
No, on
Regular
a
items.
regular
Regular
agenda.
items.
Okay.
In open session.
we'd have to identify the funding though, wouldn't we?
Where the funding's coming
Yes.
from?
Out of your council budget.
That we would have to add to your budget too.
Do we have a budget? Oh my
You
God.
have money- you have money for sponsorships, but this far exceeds the amount budgeted for that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Was that the fund that we cut back
right.
Yes,
last year? And
yes.
Yeah.
we'll have to take a look at that. See what our budget is, see what the funds are that are available. This is probably going to be the highest, isn't it? The highest request?
Yes, by a long way.
Because the others are, what, in the $5,000 range?
Yeah, we have a lot of like $1,000. The largest is probably Saturday in the Park, which I think this past year was right around 7,000.
Okay. But your request is for up to the
Yes,
25,000.
right.
Maybe we could do a match or something? And did you mention that earlier, or did I?
Well, there's some matching funds available for part of that from the Iowa Film, Produce Iowa.
For what we would
No, for a
participate?
part of it. If we get some city funding, they will also give us some funding.
Oh,
But
they
they
will.
don't, they will not match it, no, unfortunately.
What's their limit? Any idea?
Their limit is $2,500,
2,500?
and they're doing festivals all over the state. You know, we don't have access to the funding that, for instance, Saturday in the Park does. We don't have beer vendors and food vendors and things like that we can tap into. So it's a real trick trying to find ways to produce a quality festival and keep the ticket prices really, really low and make it affordable and accessible for everyone in town.
And there will or will not be popcorn for the movies?
Jolly
Yes,
Time
not
has,
at your film.
Jolly Time is
Now,
guaranteed.
okay.
Jolly Time, bless their hearts, are giving us popcorn and a little bit of funding. especially on horror film night.
Oh, yeah,
I'm surprised
exactly.
he didn't ask for ice cream.
Well, that could be next.
Well, there you go. Yeah, call Wells. Maybe they'll jump on
All the Blue
board.
Bunny.
So, okay, so our next step is get it on the agenda and discuss it, and hopefully we can do it next week.
That would be greatly appreciated.
So,
Thank you for the presentation.
yeah,
Indeed. Thank you for hearing us.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
We'll move to the consent agenda, which is items 3 through 12D. You can consider these items to pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested by a council member. If you want to speak on the item, please come forward as I read the number and state your name and address for the record. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, come up under citizen concerns and state your name and address again for the record. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
3 are reading of the city council minutes of September 19, 2016. 4 is a resolution fixing fees for services provided by the Parks and Rec Department, rescinding resolution 2015-0247.
Did the Parks and Rec Board go through those fees?
Mayor, Council, Angel Walls, Parks and Recreation Manager. The Parks Board did not review these increases.
Did not. And I saw several of the fees are what have been charged in the past. We're just putting that in the ordinance now.
That is correct. The primary fees that we increased were the recreation fees, and that was just primarily to include a new athletic T-shirt that increased the fee of what we were charging previously, and then we had a slight increase in swimming lesson fees as well.
What's the effective date of the increase?
As soon as you vote to approve it, then it will go into effect.
Okay.
But it will, for swimming lessons, it won't be until the next swimming season, and then for the rec fees will be the next programs that are coming up.
Has the Parks Board reviewed these fees in the past at all, do you know? Did
They
get
have not
involved?
reviewed them in the past.
Would there be a,
We can certainly present that. We'll have our next Park Board meeting next Wednesday.
oh, you do?
Yes, we do.
So then you could bring it back a week from,
Yes, do you want us to defer this and then bring it back?
I'll move that.
Yep, I'd appreciate that.
Definitely.
thank you.
And defer to 2 meetings from today.
Well, no, let's see, your Parks Board meets next Wednesday?
This Wednesday.
A week from this Wednesday.
Correct.
So in order to add it to the agenda, if there were changes that would need
So
to,
that
The 10th?
the agenda would be, items are already submitted by the 5th, which I believe is
Right.
when the meeting is. So
That'll
it
be
would
for
need
the-
to be the 17th.
October 17th.
Would that work out? Okay.
Yes, it
I
will.
appreciate that. Thank
Yes, no problem.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
you. Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron.
Aye.
Okay, let's go to the motion acknowledging the Board of Adjustment actions of September 13, 2016. I didn't treat you very well there, Mr. Moore.
No, it's a tough board.
Were they trying to sell alcohol and beer?
Yes.
That's why.
And as Jeff will tell you, I learned there's a park south of this site that I
Yeah.
wasn't aware of.
That was,
And maybe you were, but
Well, it's not, and nobody ever uses it but to walk up the hill, but it is a
it's dedicated, but not,
dedicated park.
but
yeah.
not improved, yeah.
Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. As you mentioned, this request came in as a variance in front of our Board of Adjustment to waive the 300-foot rule for the sale of alcohol and tobacco from a park. In this case, there's 2 parks, Pulaski Park and Sacagawea Park on the south side of Transit Avenue. The motion did fail from the Board of Adjustment, but as a result of this, we did receive direction from the Board of Adjustment to determine if there's any other revisions that could be made to address areas like this. We have a commercial corridor with a park across the street that's not used. There's no play equipment. You have a restaurant/bar next to the proposed use. So we formed a committee that we met last week, which includes a member from the school district, a member from the Mayor's Youth Commission, because then we could look at the actual size of the lot. In some cases, you have a very large lot And our measurement in the code states it has to come from the lot line, not the building line. So you may be in excess of 300 foot from it, from the store to the park, but the property lines are adjacent to each other. So once we review that, we'll bring some language back for the Planning and Zoning Commission to review.
But they can't come back for a year now.
If we look at a text amendment, they could come back. If it's the rules change for a conditional use permit, they could apply for that.
Oh, they can, okay. 6 is a resolution accepting the offer of the sale of land from Mary C. Hettinger Living Trust in connection with the city trail system, a portion of 3900 Floyd Boulevard. I want to thank the city manager for finding a way to move that up when it's a piece of ground the park board really wants, and when the Hettingers are willing to sell it for half price. It's an opportunity buy that I'm glad we were able to work it out. 7 is a resolution approving change orders 2, 3, and 4 and authorizing final payment to the Lazard Contracting for Riverside Park Soccer Fields reconstruction project. I'd like to abstain. 8 are actions relating to street closures. A is a resolution temporarily closing various streets on September 30th, 2016 to accommodate Bishop Heelan High School homecoming parade. B is a resolution temporarily closing various streets on October 6, 2016 for the West High School homecoming parade. C is the resolution. I noticed that parade ends right in the middle of nowhere. I mean, they probably work a deal with my church and the church across the street, but it's kind of unique that it ends right in the middle of nowhere.
It will end, actually, they reverse the route, so it's going to start at the church and then end in the parking lot of the elementary school.
So they're staging at
They will be
the
staging
church?
at the church.
Okay, well, I'm assuming my church and the
And
church
they
across the
did, per the coordinators, they did contact the church.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they, and the people across the street, okay, so that's going that way then. I wondered, okay. C is a resolution temporarily closing a portion of Douglas Street on October 14, 2016 to accommodate the Sioux City Fire Rescue's Fallen Firefighter Memorial Event. 9 are actions relating to agreements and contract. A is a resolution approving the contract with Subserco for the water main replacement project. I need to abstain. B is a resolution approving amendment number 1 with H.R. Green in connection with the Pierce Street reconstruction project. C is a resolution approving a telecommunications facilities exchange agreement between Woodbury County, City of Sioux City, Siouxland Tri-State Area Radio Communications, Starcom, and Fibercom LLC for exchange of fiber glass optics conduits. 10 are purchasing. A is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Motorola Solutions for the purchase and an upgrade of the new mobile and portable public safety radio system. B is a resolution awarding a purchase order to LG Evers for the purchase of ice sand until July 1st, 2017.
I have a question on that. I mean, basically, we didn't need to get a bid on this last year because there was the excess inventory that we had.
Spiro Lowell is purchasing manager. Correct. That's what Public Works said.
So the last time we had a bid of any sort, it was
bid out. Last time it was bid was in 2010, and Higman of Akron was the low bidder. They've since been bought out by LG Everest.
But in 2010, it was like $8 and something.
$8.65 per ton.
65.
Yeah.
So this is what the going rate is now today. I mean, that's what
Correct.
it costs. What's driven that up? Just
No competition. They
I
own
think
it
lack
all.
of competition and just the area vendors that we called. I know Ed talked to somebody that came in and brought a mix, but didn't sound like that met their specifications. And then other vendors we talked to just don't produce the product.
they don't produce the product. About how many tons do we be ordering? I mean, are we kind of really low then on what we have available?
Ed Pickens, Sioux City Street Superintendent. We've got enough to last us, depends on, I'd like to get to Christmas or maybe afterwards, but I want to have it stocked up ahead of time. And if this is approved, what I would do is call this company and see if we could get the sand in the middle of the winter. If not, I'd like to stock it, pile it up this fall. Stockpiled up. The year before last, we had a fairly mild winter, so we didn't use near as much. So, but
Okay.
when the price was that low, they bought quite a bit of it. So we were able to use it for quite a few years.
Next time the river floods, just grab a bunch of that.
What?
So this is what, I mean, after they plow the streets, or it's the plows that actually put it down at
Yeah,
the same
we
time?
take the sand and we mix it with salt.
They
Yeah.
mix it. It's like it was a
Okay.
50/50.
It depends if it's icy out or not. If it's just a regular snow, we'll go 1/3 salt, 2/3 sand. If it's really icy, we're gonna go a little bit more sand. It all depends what the weather is, but 50/50 is pretty close.
Well, you're doing a great job, and you responded to a lot of the concerns that I received last year in a very timely manner, and I appreciate that. Does this tie in too with what we're doing with alternating the parking from one side? And
Not necessarily, no. This is just something that we're gonna need no matter what we do with the
Okay.
odd even parking and the snow policy.
but are we going to be doing that? Have we adopted the snow policy yet?
We were looking at it. I don't know that we adopted anything new right now.
Ed, Dave Carney, Public Works Director, and others have been meeting to determine an appropriate policy, and we'll be coming back in mid-October.
They're trying to take the power away from calling the emergency from the mayor somehow, so read the ordinance change closely when you get that opportunity.
As long as we make it through Halloween, we're okay.
Yeah.
I know how it works
So you're
around
working
here.
on the policy to mid-October before council sees it then?
Yes.
Okay.
We would,
But I mean, just
The only
generally,
thing I got over the rest of you, and he's trying to take it away.
philosophically, we're in agreement with that kind of a policy, aren't we?
There's still some debate going on amongst staff.
Depends on the mayor, I guess.
we've talked to other cities, seen what they're doing. We've talked to, the street division. We talked to a lot of the senior guys that have been here 35+ years, got their take on it, what happened through the years with the odd even parking. Visited with the street superintendent in Omaha and see what they're doing. And we've reached out to a lot of different places. Want to get their input, instead of reinventing the wheel, if there's something we just need to tweak or make better. And we met with Dave, and some of the other departments, and the police department met, and trying to figure I don't think there's no magic bullet. There's no magic thing that's gonna make everything okay, 'cause ultimately Mother Nature controls the situation.
Yeah, but ultimately, when towns like Mobile can call for it and we don't, there's something wrong.
Excuse me?
I said, towns like Mobile have snow emergencies, and we haven't figured it out, that we should as well. And to have to see cars that I drive by Grandview and Douglas and that coming and going to work, that sit there for a week and your plow goes around them is inexcusable. And the only way you're gonna know which are abandoned, which aren't, is to call a snow emergency when you have a bad storm and get those towed that need to be towed. Why should your snowplow driver at 2 a.m, 3 snowstorms in a row, have to drive around the same car and the snow's still on it from the storm before?
I agree with you. I think that we talked about getting it out there ahead of time, saying, there's a big storm coming.
Well, I
Get these cars off
understand,
the
but
street.
we're out front right now, because we only got a month to get this in place, because we've had major snowstorms on Halloween. Trust me, I know, I canceled one once, so I know that can happen.
And my kids will never
You should have tried
forgive
to
you
count
for
the
that.
snowstorm.
Kids will never forgive me, and that's okay. They're alive. They might not have been had I not
That's
done.
exactly right.
If it's snow, I'll take that over ice. I mean, we've had icy Halloweens before, and then that affects the streets. It pulls trees down. But winter's on its way, so
But we used to have the odd even, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
they did. And the senior workers that I've talked to said at that time it took a lot longer, because they get, first you have to have enforcement, get the cars over to the other side, and then they go up and down the street, and they had to come back around. I think we can take another look at it and see if there's a better way to tweak it. I agree with the mayor that these cars that are sitting there for 2 and 3 weeks at a time,
And you're right about the safety concerns, Mayor. Somebody had to make the call.
I was glad to do
You
it.
still have that power, don't you?
I think I do.
The city
As of
manager
now.
hasn't taken that
As of
away from
now.
you?
So far.
You gonna be gone anytime soon?
I won't let you know. 11 are applications
I'd
for
like to
beer
point
and
out
liquor
two things. He
license. See the
also has
list
the right to cancel Halloween.
and come forward. Do you have any questions? 12 are receipt of minutes. See the list. Come forward. Do you have any questions? Anybody want to be heard on any of those?
You know, on the minutes, it says there's soccer at the airport.
Yes, there is. Lots of
I
it.
had never heard of that.
Lots of fields down there. There must be.
What are you gonna do when soccer at the airport ends?
And there must be.
We are temporarily, we did it last year as well because of the Riverside fields being.
There must be 15 fields down there.
Yeah, it's a great temporary
Yeah.
location for it. It is. It works out well.
And then 85% load factors, that seems to be up a little bit, right?
Yep, it's strong service right now. We had to, good and bad, we had to put a few people off because the flights are pretty full right now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good problem.
I need to abstain on 11E3 for Briar Cliff University for conflict of interest.
Are we voting how today?
Orally.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
13 is a resolution accepting a warranty deed from Silvertooth Investments dedicating property as part of Indian Hills Drive. P and Z recommends approval of this item.
I'll move it.
Second.
Both were unanimously approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. No comments on item 13, really. On item 14, that is the old Whittier School, and there were, we had citizens who had expressed concerns about parking and just other effects on the neighborhood. I think a lot of the concerns were allayed when there was discussion about the fact that there were going to be a number of parking places. I think, I can't remember how many, maybe 75 parking
Right.
spaces for the 30-some apartments. So both of those were unanimously approved by P&Z.
Okay, thank you. We don't buy these right-of-ways, right, on these streets, that we require them to give it to us, right?
Correct, Chris Madsen, Senior Planner. This piece of right-of-way was outside of the plat that was approved. We couldn't include it on the plat for Welty, so it had to come forward as a separate warranty deed and accepting and dedicating.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second on
Yep.
it. Any questions? Anyone to be heard? Call the roll, please.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
14 is a hearing and ordinance rezoning 48 24th Avenue for zone classification GR. P and Z recommends approval. I'll move it.
Second.
Anyone to be heard? Call the roll, please.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Anyone opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No.
Nope.
Move that.
Second.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye. Second, third.
Second.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
15 are hearing and resolution approving plan specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for Lewis and Clark Park Facility Upgrades Phase 2 project. I'll move it.
Second.
Anyone to be heard? Call the roll, please.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
16 is a hearing and resolution approving proposal to sell property and authorizing a city deed the vacated alley abutting 2100 Allen Street. I'll move it.
Second.
Anyone be heard? Call the roll, please.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
17 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property and authorizing the city deed a portion of the vacated Metropolitan Street between 1121 and 1125 River Drive. I'll move that.
Second.
On this, none of this is needed for a future trail system close to the river like that? Okay. Anyone to be heard? Call the roll, please.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
18 and 1125 River Drive. I'll move that.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye. 19 is a hearing and resolution accepting the proposal of JKL Enterprises, Inc., doing business as counsel for the lease of land of the combined Central Sioux City CBD urban renewal area, Space 1 in the MLK Transportation Center. I'll move that.
Second.
Anyone to be heard?
Mayor and Council, I would note that on this lease agreement, we have now added an additional provision which provides that they're eligible, the tenant is eligible for a second 3-year term. However, they have to provide notice 60 days out from the end of the lease period that they wish to exercise that option. Otherwise, the lease remains unchanged.
Call the roll, please.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
20 is a resolution approving the final plat of Sunnybrook Plaza, fourth filing, or replat lots 6, 7, and 8, Sunnybrook Plaza, third filing, in addition to the City of Sioux City, Woodbury County, Iowa. P&Z recommends approval. I'll move it.
Second.
Anyone to be heard? Call the roll.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Abstain, conflict of interest.
Radig,
Aye.
21 is a hearing and resolution determining area of the city appropriate for an urban renewal project and adopting amendment number 1 to the amended and restated combined Central Sioux City CBD Urban Renewal Plan Downtown Redevelopment Project at 507 7th Street and Historic Pearl District Building Redevelopment. I'll move that.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye. 22 is a hearing and resolution determining an area of the city appropriate for urban renewal project and adopting amendment 1 to the amended and restated Donner Park Urban Renewal Plan, Sergeant Road Development Project, Stadium Drive Office Building and Industrial Development TIF Assistance. I'll move that.
Second.
Anyone to be heard? Call the roll, please.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
This involves the Sergeant Road Development projects, doesn't it? So I need to abstain, conflict of interest.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
23 is a resolution approving a development and assessment agreement with Brad Cummings LLC for 507 7th Street in the combined Central Sioux City CBD urban renewal area.
I'll move it.
Second.
Explain this, because there were so many numbers floating around in there. He gets 150,000 now, 75,000 later. Is that what I read?
Mayor and Council, Chris Myers, Economic Development Specialist. All that this agreement commits is for Mr. Cummings to provide the minimum assessment now, and the city would provide $150,000 now. Any of the other dollar amounts that were discussed in there were merely for future reference. There's no obligations on either side. If he is to get the other $75,000, council would need to agree, and he would need to agree either
The
through.
TIF, this is a TIF deal.
Yes.
And he's already gotten facade money.
Yes.
And I appreciate Brad's investment in the community, but
Facade money in the TIF. It's
What?
kind of like a double dip. I mean, you know, because the facade money was Pierce Corridor, right?
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that was kind of like using TIF, essentially, was it not?
Better yet, you don't have a payback and you don't have to sign a minimum
Was that
assessment.
not supposed to be a TIF funded?
Oh, it's a TIF funded, but I'm saying you don't have to sign an assessment agreement
Oh, so if
as
you
a
did
building
sign
owner,
it.
so it's better than a TIF.
Well, I'll vote for this. I just think that maybe we should maybe not in the future do that.
Does he have a better plan than what he originally showed, that what he's doing?
Well, his plan is to have floors 4, 5, and 6 ready to be leased out as office space.
Does he have a timeline on that, Chris?
Well, 6 months.
And the additional funding that may or may not be available is contingent upon whether or not he agrees to increase the minimum.
Yes, and then an agreement would need to come back to council. So there's no commitments on either side for that money. It was just something that came up in the course of our working with Brad.
Okay. Thank you.
What's a payoff on 150,000? On $1 million assessment? Is that 40,000 a year additional taxes? No, it can't be. It's 4,000.
It's about, it's 800,000 in new value. He's assessed around 250 now, so 750,000 in new value. It's right at a 7-year payback after assuming bonding costs.
Anyone be heard?
Where did our Pierce Corridor plan fall under?
879
What was that?
879 something number.
Call the roll, please.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
24 is a resolution approving the final plat for the Whistling View 3rd Edition 8th filing.
I'll move it.
Second.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
25 is a resolution approving a subdivision improvement installation agreement with SCLD in connection with the final plat of Whispering View 3rd Edition 8th filing.
Move it.
Second.
Just 1 second. Normally what that means is you're giving them money, but, right? Does it not? It's not for oversizing or anything?
No,
Well, what's a resolution approving a subdivision improvement installation agreement? What's that mean
I
then?
believe it's.
Jeff
related-
Hansen,
It's a-
Community
this-
Development.
This memo, I'm sorry,
The final plat is the item right before that's been approved. The sidewalks and the street lighting is not complete yet, so he had to sign this agreement that commits him to complete those improvements.
okay, who's SLCD?
That would be Salzback, Sioux City Engineering.
Okay. Oh, this is that lot where they didn't want to give up property.
This is on the east side of Glen Ellen Road.
And so tell me again what we're doing here, because I'm mystified by this whole thing. That memo left a little be desired, and I should have got to you earlier.
Sure. And I have Glenn help me. The sidewalks and the street lighting were not complete. He was ready to move forward with the final plat, which was the item right before this. The final plat allows him to begin selling the lots within the subdivision. In the case of this agreement, it allows us to go back and complete those improvements if he fails to do so.
Well, why wouldn't you just require a subdivision bond like we used to?
The code does not require, Glen Ellis City Engineer, the code does not indicate that a bond would be required for sidewalks or streetlight. So we couldn't bond for those.
Well, no, that's not true unless you've changed the code since I've been here the last time, because the code definitely allows you to have a subdivision completion bond. Absolutely, there's such a thing, that they sell them all over the state all the time.
For example, on the Peterson development for Eagle Ridge, there were some additional items, I believe, that were included for street flushers.
Correct.
And a few other items, which the council did direct that a bond be.
But there are exceptions in the code for street lighting and sidewalks that do not.
I'm sure there are, but that means every lot's left out. That's the way it works.
The way this is currently written is there's a paragraph 5 states that the city can require the developer to construct sidewalk at any time requested by the city.
Why would streetlights not go in right now?
Well, typically, they don't get ordered until later in the project, and there's a long lead time. We do have a November 30th date that they've indicated they're on order. That's when they've indicated they will be installed. So we have that in the agreement. So we try to get that information before we have these executed, is to have that completion date for the
Are we gonna,
street
we're gonna
lights.
run into the same thing up on the other hill with Dial up there? They don't have streetlights on that street they just put in.
That'll have similar language. We've got a date established that they've indicated they will have those lights put in.
It's amazing when you know that you're doing a subdivision and you know you have to have lights. What would be the first thing a prudent person would order? I would order streetlights when I know they have the longest lead time, but
Yeah, the feedback we've gotten is that the Mid-American won't do any design of the electrical work until the plans are completed. At that time, the contractor starts the work. Yeah, I don't know, I can't speak for each of the developers to why they,
but
when
you're
they
gonna run into
order
the same
theirs.
problem over the hill with Dial, I can guarantee you.
Yeah, it'll have the same language in their agreement.
You know, I mentioned this once before, but number 3 of that agreement, or attachment C in the installation agreement, it says, it talks about installing sidewalks on each lot prior to the occupancy. But then there's language that says, unless excused from doing so in writing by the city engineer. Under what kind of conditions or circumstances would you excuse them from doing that?
The code has narrative in there that ties it to weather. If they complete the construction of a lot close to wintertime with freezing weather, they can have that delayed for up to a year.
Okay. But under no circumstances would you say they didn't? Okay, I was a little confused.
Right.
Okay.
Funny how they can put heat blankets down to make sure the driveway gets poured, but they can't put heat blankets down to make sure the sidewalks get poured. That's amazing to me how that works. There is no excuse to not have a sidewalk anymore when a house is moved into because it doesn't cost that much to heat to put those sidewalks down now.
And I'm not aware that that has been an issue where a sidewalk has been delayed until the spring, but that's, the code allows that language to be there.
But you haven't been asked to do that in the past.
No.
I would be willing to bet in his defense, he wouldn't know. Because it would fall upon the building inspector to say, well, as long as you get that sidewalk in the spring, we'll give you an occupancy permit today. I'd be willing to bet that. I bet you wouldn't even know if it happened. Not your problem, not your fault, just reality. Call the roll, please.
Scott.
Aye.
Capron.
Aye.
Gretkin.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Redding.
Aye.
Normally, though, when you do a final plat, why this was confusing is you put the picture. Because isn't this plat gonna have to be signed? I don't think it was in mine. Is it in yours? Well, if you go to this homework here, which is what I get, unless I'm not seeing it.
Attachment E.
Yeah, I go from Brad Cummings. This is exactly what I get on my computer. No, way down there, that's why. Okay, it's the last thing on there. Okay, my bad, you're right. Citizen concerns. Any citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we'll go to council concerns. Mr. Gretkin.
None this evening, thank you.
Really?
Really?
Rhonda?
No.
2 retirement parties, what, on Friday? Mel
Was it?
Williams-
Yeah.
Mel Williams and
Jim Clark.
Jim Clark.
Clark. So I hope we have a good turnout for those. That's all I have.
Mr. Ratty?
The hill that was cleared, kind of across from Sun Valley, the sidewalk is kind of, the dirt is sloughed over the sidewalk on that military one, and it's getting close again on Hamilton, if they could go through and cut that straight.
Sure.
That's it.
Will you check on that sign for me?
Yes.
I'm sure we have right of way, even if you don't leave it up very long.
What's that on?
For that lady down at Walmart that's 100 and still working, somebody requested that they put a sign right into the Walmart that says her name and a like drive on it. Mr. Padmore, do you have anything?
I do not.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Aye.
Scott,
Wow.
I got somebody.